Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Wrestle Plug podcast. I'm Aaron Nix, as you know. Now, joining me is somebody who's already been on this podcast before, the owner, the proprietor, the promoter of Charity Wrestling Promotions, which is based in Southampton. You already know his story as a wrestler, but Robbie requested this time to have a little bit of a more shoot-style interview and ask some more honest questions and also address a few issues that he believes feel that they need to be addressed in the wrestling world. Robbie Nitro, welcome back to the podcast, mate. Second time around for you.
How you doing, mate?
Not many people get to podcasts.
Well, this one's better because it's a video and you get to look at my ugly mug now, don't you?
Exactly. There's nowhere to hide now. There's two ugly people on the screen, ladies and gentlemen. Now,
oh, no.
Obviously, you requested this time to have a chat. Just quickly, just in case some people are watching it and didn't listen to the first podcast, just let people know who you are personally and what you do in the wrestling business.
Been doing it for, I want to say like 16, 17 years now, off and on. I've had obviously long breaks in and out. I keep getting jawed back to it like any self-respected wrestler. You never actually quit completely, I don't believe. It's a passion. It's in your heart. I can't get rid of it. So now I started CWP in 2017, and we're still going today. So we basically like put on live wrestling events where we don't really have like traditional gimmicks or anything like that. We are what you see. We're family orientated. We try and cater for everyone. So kids that are watching American stuff, we try and implement some of that. And then obviously all the little bit of adult stuff, but mainly just wholesome family fun. And obviously we donate it all to charity.
Yeah, that's something I want to talk about, because obviously you would have heard, because I know you listen to Eddie Kenway chatting, and a lot of us really like you, but there are actually a lot of people who don't like you or have things to say about you, not to your face, obviously, because it's the wrestling business. No one ever talks to anyone's face. And that's obviously what precipitated this podcast and what you came on. But, you know, like you say, I think it's very important that people are told Charity Wrestling Promotions is exactly that. It's a charity. We actually, everyone who works for it, and Robbie especially who owns it, it all goes to charity. This isn't a money-making exercise. This isn't a place where, you know, we kind of give people a hot dog and a handshake or take the piss. Everything that's earned, all the ticket sales and everything, goes to a charity of your choosing. So, am I right in saying you don't make any profit from Charity Wrestling Promotions?
Yeah, you're exactly right. We're not a. This has caused like a bit of arguing in the past with like, you know, some people and staff and whatever. But I choose not to take any of the money. In my opinion, we're a non-profit organisation. Yes, that might be silly to some people because how would you expect to carry on? But I always make sure that I keep the cost, because obviously everything costs. Like you can't just put a show on and not expect to have a cost bill. I try to really hard to keep it as low as possible, so that at the end of the night, whatever we take it in, we'll take out the cost, which then goes towards all the bills, and then whatever's left. You know, I have been told in the past you should take like 10% of it for the company. I don't generally do that because in my opinion, if you've got, say, like 800 quid left, I would rather donate that amount rather than sort of taking 10% out for the company and then donating a smaller amount, because I never started this to, you know, be a profitable company. To me, it's not even a business to me. It's a hobby that I've had for years. It's a passion that I've had for years. And, you know, this is why we're particular about who we do shows for. We don't try and pick like big national ones, mainly because, no disrespect to them, but they get a hell of a lot of help. We kind of cater for more smaller, sort of like, you know, personal and private charities that are local, because that's what we are. And if you do end up having a bit of a bad show where you don't make as much as the previous one, a smaller charity is grateful if you donate anything. And you know, I mean, the proof's in the pudding. I think we're just over, I think 8,500, 9,000 in total since we've been going. So considering we're really small fry compared to other people, it's not bad going.
Yeah, I think the problem is, from what I can see, is that a lot of the bigger companies in the South Coast, because obviously you're based in Southampton for the most part, the attitude is that if you want to be a good wrestler, you shouldn't go to charity wrestling promotions. You know, obviously a couple of people have insinuated that. Eddie Kenway has been told that. He said that on the podcast, that individuals at Rev Pro allegedly have suggested that, you know, not everyone, obviously, there are some really good guys down there as well, but there are people who have said, and in different companies as well, don't go to CWP because, you know, it's too big, it's a small operation or whatever. What's your opinion on that? And what do you have to say to people who turn their nose up at you and your promotion, even though you have just said it's non-profit and it's purely for charity?
Well, that's the upsetting thing, you know. And when people sort of slag me off, and which has been going on for years, I don't know why. I've never actually said anything about. Yeah, exactly. Obviously, I know certain people why they got an issue with me, and it's pathetic in my opinion. But when you diss the promotion, because I don't call it a business, I call it a promotion because that's what it is. But when they start slagging that off, it's just like, well, are you doing this because we don't choose to book you? Or are you doing this because you're trying to undermine what we are? And it's like with Eddie Kenway now, I mean, he's been like a rock for me, like within the wrestling world. Like he's been pretty much since day one. And to, you know, the person in particular, to tell him, oh, don't go to them because they'll ruin your career. How the hell can a charity company that's putting on a family show ruin your career when that company that has already said that isn't using you? See what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, they're the ones that are ruining your career because they're making you go to their training so they can take all your money, but they're not booking you and not putting you on show. I think Dirty Dave Dennis said the exact same thing on the last one. You know, there's your last two podcasts. There's two characters there that you couldn't get further, you know, apart, like gimmick wise, but they are two fantastic gimmicks. And you know, me personally, I've already carried on booking them both because I don't care. I think they're great. They're great guys in and out of the ring. Why would you not use them? But for other companies to turn around to them and say, oh, you can't go to them, why do you think they call it independent wrestling? It means you're not contracted to anyone unless you're with the bigger companies like, you know, WAW or, you know, some of the real big, massive companies that are based in the UK. You know, they have you under contract. That's fine. And if you want to book them, you go to the promoter, which is that level of respect. But if you're on a small indie town promotion, which, let's be fair, all these companies that, you know, that are slagging us off, Rev Pro in particular, because I will say them because I just don't care now. You know, how can they? Yes, they are big, but we've all been in lockdown for what, a year and a half, like nearly two, that no one's put events on. So why would you turn around and say, don't work for that company, you have to stay with us, but we're not going to put you on the card? These guys need to get their gimmicks over, and they need to incorporate everything with a live crowd. And no one's going to know. We don't even know what's going to happen, like when we are allowed to start doing shows in front of a live crowd, because no one knows what's going to happen. I mean, you know, wrestling might be done. Nobody knows. But for those guys like the namesayers and the ones that just slag us off, it's just like, have you got nothing better to do? Do you know what I mean? I mean, they don't understand, and a lot of people say, "Oh, you know, fucking don't let them get you." You know, ignore and turn the other cheek. But a lot of people have the wrong impression of me. Like, they just think that, you know, oh, I'm moody, or I'm, you know, miserable, or I'm, you know, strict or stern, or, you know, won't let things affect you and all that crap. But it couldn't be further from the truth. It does fucking hurt, and it hurts a lot, because all I'm doing is working my arse off. I've got two jobs, and I've had two jobs for, well, way before lockdown, to try and feed my kids. And these charity shows is meant to be like a release for me, because I don't get booked. Even local Southampton promotions, I've worked for a couple, but, you know, people don't really book me. And I've never once said I'm the best wrestler there is, because I wouldn't do that. I don't even say I'm a good wrestler, because I just don't, because I don't have any self-confidence. And I haven't for years. And maybe that's the PTSD that I suffer with, and the anxiety and the mental health, I don't know. But you know, people need to understand this, is that I've never ever stated I'm better than you or my company's better than you. I've never slagged off a company, even though I've probably got grounds to, because I don't see the point. It's wasted energy. You know, I let them do what they got to do, and I do what I do, and you know, never the two shall meet type thing. You know, but I just do the charity shows because they are family fun, and I love them. But for me, it's a hobby. This is why I'm very particular about, if I do go and work for someone else, like who they are, and I look into them first. Because to me, wrestling is a hobby now. I mean, I used to do it like all the time, and it was all I ever thought about. But now it's, in this day and age, when you got mouths to feed and you work 2 professional jobs, wrestling's not the be all and end all, and it's not. And that's hard for me to say that because it always has been. You know, but the charity shows themselves, I've never once said our shows are the greatest on the planet, because they're not. You know, we have a lot of flaws. I know for a fact, and I will put my hand on this, that our company's not the worst. You know, if there was a totem pole of what company, like, you know, is sort of run of the mill and what company's like the next step on the vote, I know our company wouldn't be at 0, because if we were so bad compared to what these namesayers are saying, why have we got so much following on social media, which is what it's all about lately? Like at the moment, and I've done some research on this, apart from one, we have the most subscribers on YouTube to our channel and the most followers on Facebook and not so much Twitter, but because it's my fault, because I don't really get it, than any other local Hampshire-based company. So if we were that bad, why would we have that? You know, and we don't even use that to its full potential, because I just stick shows on and we donate the money to charity. And, you know, like the guys have full control over the matches. I don't, there might be a couple of little things that we might say, well, you know, we'd like you to do this, or, you know, don't do this move because they're doing it, or try and go back to the old way of doing things. But 98.9% of the time, the guys do have creative control. Like I don't. You've been in my locker room, you know. You would have seen it for yourself. I don't go in there and say, right, I want you to do X, Y, and Z. You're not doing this, this, and this, and you have to stick to that. Because what's the point? A lot of these guys are doing it for a favour, or a lot of these guys are donating their time. So why would you then sit down with them and go, right, here's like 50 rules that you're not allowed to do? You know, like other companies. As long as there's, the only thing I say to them is, remember, it's a charity family show. So therefore, watch your P's and Q's. Don't do anything too extreme. Says the person that got busted open.
No death matches for me.
That's a shame, actually, because there's a couple of guys I really want to book that specialise in that, but I don't think it would work with our clientele.
No. But you like the fact that you've mentioned the fan base as well. Like, you know, I've wrestled for a couple of your shows, and I've had the opportunity to wrestle in front of like around 100 people, which is actually in this day and age a good crowd. People can turn their nose up to it because they run York Hall or whatever it is, and good for you if you can sell that out. That's not a slight. That's very impressive. But at the same time, it's not like I tip up at CWP and see Okada in the locker room. I do see some really talented guys though, and girls, who actually people shouldn't turn their nose up. For instance, I think you've got one of the best women's wrestlers in the world in your locker room, Sky Smithson. Like, and someone like Sky Smithson wouldn't work for a company like CWP unless it held itself to a decent enough standard. And that's what I would like to point out to people who are watching this, because Sky Smithson, you've had Zan Phoenix, you've had Mercedes Blaze, I didn't know too much about until I started watching CWP regularly. She's now had the opportunity to work for Progress and for NXT UK and tapings and things of that nature. So, you know, this attitude that you shouldn't work for CWP is frankly born, from my opinion, is, you know, obviously it's allegedly, I don't know why people are saying that, but at the same time, I would hazard a guess that it's ego. And it's also a case of, we don't want our talent working over there, getting ideas that they might be better than we tell them they are, because obviously they're not being told how good and how useful they can be in the wrestling business, because the be-all and end-all is not working for New Japan Pro Wrestling or WWE.
Exactly. I mean, we've always said, like, I run my locker room differently to other locker rooms. You know, it's, I mean, you've been there yourself. It's very relaxed. It's very fun. Because, you know, when I first started, like all those years ago, and the companies that I started for, there was, I mean, obviously it was a different era back then, but there was a lot of bullying. You know, it was rife when I started training, to the point where I got it as well. And many a time I just said, you know what, fuck this, it's not worth it, for the no money that you get. You know, I lost countless jobs where I quit my job to go on tour and then didn't really get paid for it. So, you know, you're living out of a van, you're not really eating, you know, but you do all this because you just love it. You know, you can't explain, you will understand this because you've been in the ring. You try and explain this to someone who's never been in the ring before, never done a match, never done a show, and isn't a wrestler. They will never understand it. Like, when you're in front of a crowd, no matter how big or how small, because I still get the same feeling, and you do it, you know, you either do a good move or you get a big pop or whatever. The feeling that you get in here and in your heart, you can't explain that. There's nothing else like it. I've always said wrestling is like a giant glove that grabs you around the throat and it will never let you go because you cannot leave it completely. You know, I mean, I've had like 4 or 5 year gaps, but I still went back to it because it's a feeling of adrenaline and excitement that you cannot put into words. And, you know, you can't really find that anywhere else. And, you know, for the fact that, you know, people say, like you said earlier, like, oh, you know, they shouldn't, you know, we're a 2-bit company, or, you know, these namesayers are saying that we never get any punters. I think I heard somebody from that said company saying about how we only get like 20 people in the crowd. What utter bullshit. We've never had a low crowd like that. You know, I can prove it because all they got to do is go onto the bloody YouTube channel and they can see how far back we go, because all our videos are on our YouTube channel, even going back to what I call the less creative shows, which is when we first started out. My first ever show with CWP was at Gold Sport and Leisure. We were outside on AstroTurf, and didn't know what we were doing because I was just letting anyone and everyone, because I was trying to be the nice guy. We had ended up with like, I think, a 35 or 40 man rumble, which was ridiculous. And do you know what? We had no seats because the venue let us down. And I had fans with families surrounding that ring, and I think we had about 240 to 250 turn up, and they were sat on blankets on AstroTurf in the cold watching us lot perform like bloody idiots. And it was probably the most income that we've raised for a charity than any of my other shows. Now, even all of the shows after that at the Novotel, the only one time we had a bad turnout was, I don't know if you can remember, but a few years ago we had like a torrential snow blizzard that hit Southampton quite hard. I was going to cancel the event because it started snowing on the day of the event, and I was walking like knee deep in it to the venue, and I'm like, what's the point? We're just being stupid. But everyone persuaded me to carry on. We've done a few pre-sales, so they said, just see what happens. 155 people turned up to the event in a snowstorm. So how are we a bunch of shit? This is what I don't get. We're not claiming to be, you know, the next WWE, because I don't want to be. Well, I'm quite content and quite happy with us just being family, fun, orientated. And another thing is that we give you more, I think, than any other wrestling charity shows that I've seen in the past. Because let's face it, right? Let's be truthful. A charity show for wrestling consists of probably trainees. Because they just, you know, the promoter don't really want a massive bill, which I get. Might throw in a few pros in there along the way. Normally a 4, maybe a 5 bout card, and, you know, and that's it. And it's basically put a ring up. There's your punters. They're not expecting WrestleMania because they probably paid a $5 or whatever. Here it is. We don't do that. We do interferences, we do run-ins, we do storylines, we do creative storylines. We've got 5 championship titles that are all, you know, really good in their own right. We've created our own championship title that no one else has. You know, we bring in imports from America. I mean, I've had Bram on. I was the first person in Hampshire to have Bram on, and we nearly sold out the venue. And Bram even told me himself what a great little gig it was. You know, and that's somebody who currently at that period in time was working for Impact. So we actually had a current Impact wrestling star, which everyone else always goes for, like, you know, I don't know, like retired WWE guys or guys from back in the day when we were all kids, you know what I mean? Like the Attitude Era, because, yeah, it's great because they're legends and they do put bums on seats, so it's fine. But we were the first company to have ever have an active roster member from Impact. Likewise, we also had Sid Scala on as well on quite a few shows. And the last show we did, he was on, and obviously we all know he's full-time member of WWE.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't understand why they slate us to the extent that they do, because all we do is we put out a half decent product. I've never said I'm the creme de la creme, because I know I'm not. I know I've got a lot of flaws, which is why I'm trying to sort them out. But the one thing I know I am good at is entertaining a crowd. That, because at the end of the day, I can go by the crowd's acknowledgement, and you've been there yourself. Our crowd is second to none. They really get involved and they get into it and they put their heart and soul into every show. So, and we've got a lot of faith for. They turn up for every event. So we can't be that bad, can we?
Now, something that I've heard a lot of, because I'm not going to be stupid and naive and act as if I don't know much about the business or I don't hear things, because ultimately, being a podcast, I'm privy to a lot of conversation. People seem to want to tell me everything, and I like to think this is a safe space and people can trust me. However, as you know, and it's something you've already alluded to, so it's not like it's a surprise to you, there are people who don't like you, or there are people who have things to say about you. I know exactly how that feels. You should see my inbox every day. I get hate mail from someone. It's comical as fuck to me. But at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say that sometimes it doesn't hurt. And like you say, sometimes it upsets people. You know, they forget that just because we're wrestlers, we do have emotions. We're not all robots. Not all of us are jacked up meatheads with no feelings. And some of us do have to deal with things like anxiety and PTSD and depression. That's something that we discussed quite a lot, obviously, with your past on the last podcast. And I highly recommend people check that out. You know, and obviously Robbie's very cool, very approachable about the subject. So, you know, if you want to learn more and educate yourself and also find out, you know, I'm sure that you'd be happy to talk to those people directly. But one of the things that I do here is Robbie Nitro. Let's cut straight to the chase with this. Robbie Nitro isn't a very good wrestler. Robbie Nitro shouldn't be booking himself on his own shows. And Robbie Nitro certainly shouldn't be booking himself to go over any talent. What do you have to say about that?
Okay. I don't even know what to say to that. It's like, why would you not work on your own show? You know, Chris K does. I've seen them go over many a time, because why wouldn't you? That's not a dig at Chris K, by the way, because he's actually really sound.
The way you worded it did sound like, yeah, Chris K goes over and he's rubbish as well. That was,
you know, it's like, you know, would Rishi not work on his own shows? Like everyone would, you know. I mean,
all that work in, like the least you can do is get in there and take a few bumps.
Exactly. I mean,
trained to be a wrestler before. I think people are under the impression that you've never got in a ring before and you're just some yahoo who's jumped in and had a go.
I mean, put it this way: when I started training was back before a lot of these, you know, youngsters that I've heard in the past, like slag us off and everything. They weren't even thought about. You know, I'm nearly 40 years old. When I started training, it was back in the day where you got the shit kicked out of you, even in the locker room, which has happened to me. It's happened to friends. I've witnessed it. I've had to sit there and witnessed it and couldn't say anything. The story, I mean, I won't go into all of them, but the stories that I've seen, and, you know, I could come on a show like this and I could just let it rip and I could slag everyone off. You know, and I could bully everyone and just say, you know, to all the people that slag me off, you know, look at yourselves and look in the bloody mirror before you start, you know, preaching to me. But I don't, because it's not going to prove anything. They're not going to change their opinion. They're still going to slag me off. They're still going to think I'm shit. Okay, I know I'm shit. At the end of the day, like I did train, but I trained with the TWA, the Wrestling Alliance with Scott Conway, and back in them days, you know, it was it was bloody brutal because people didn't really because Scott, you know, his main forte was using a lot of the seasoned pros from around the world. You know, he was the first guy to bring a lot of imports in. He had a arsenal of huge legendary names, you know, that were, you know, within the British section, but they were hard, you know, that they were legitimate hard men. To the point where I think the first time I ever wrestled Ricky Knight, I absolutely shit myself. Honest to God, because I have no filter, never have. I thought I was going to be funny, and I did. This is one little story that I can tell because it's not slagging anybody off because I've loved the guy. I think he's awesome. It was at the Weymouth Pavilion, and it was a show for Scott, and I think it was like my third proper like actual match. And all the boys are kind of sat around the ring, and I'm bringing the ring in with a guy that it's hard to talk about, but he's a guy called John Cobbin. He was more like a dad to me, so I'm bringing the ring in, and Scott kind of looked around and said, now take note, I've not spoke to Ricky Knight prior to this. I just heard stories about what the guy's like and how colossal he is and how, you know, just a pure oozes hardness. And Scott looked around and said, oh, Robbie, you're facing Ricky tonight, or do you want to face Ricky tonight? But I thought he was joking. Like, I thought he was taking the piss because back then I was, well, I know I'm quite chubby now, but back then I was like, you know, 3 stone wet through and looked like a little kid. And I just laughed, and because all the boys started laughing when he said it, I just said, hell no. But I meant it as in no, because he would kick the living shit out of me. I mean, look at the size of me and look at the size of him. But he took it the wrong way. And after I thought about it, I thought, fuck, like, why would you say that, you knob? You know, so I'm like hiding out the back by the van like a little girl, because he just took it quite disrespectfully, which quite rightfully so. It did sound quite wrong. When we got to the locker room later on, you know, I realised my mistakes. I went up to him. Arse was going like that, but there was just meaning. And I think Saraya was in there as well. And I just said, look, Ricky, I said, I'm not being funny. I said, it was taken the wrong way. I've got so much respect for you. Love everything you've done. I've followed you since I was a bloody, you know, before I even started training. You know, I apologise. It was meant as a joke. You know, he literally then stood up, gave me a hug, shook my hand, and said, we got off to the wrong start. Let's put it under the bridge. And that night, still to this day, even though I ended up with quite a bad injury, but that was my fault. Because back in them days, he did like, one of his finishes was like, he'd scoop slam you, and then he'd stand over you and jump in the air and then just sit down powerbomb straight on your chest. But I wasn't ready for it. To which point the next day I was like, why can I not breathe? But do you know what? That was the best match still to this day I've ever had. Now, you know, that's going back years. But I only got to a certain level within training. I never carried on because there was things back then that was so riddled, it was unreal. Like, there was a lot of backstabbing. There was a lot of people throwing you under the bus. There was a lot of lies being said. I'm not going to mention them because, again, I've already said that's not me. I'm not going to come on here and say, oh, he said that, he said, do you know what I mean? They know they are. I know they are. It's water under the bridge. It was years ago. But that promotion especially made and broke me. As a young adolescent male going into the business and being the way it ended, being treated the way that I was treated. And Scott's not stupid. He knows the way it went. We didn't speak for years and years and years and years. And I left. I left the profession. I left the sport, and I never went back. And that had gone on for years. So I only got to a certain level. But when people say, oh, you never trained, well, I can give you an arsenal of legendary names that I went to their training schools. You know, our head coach was Robbie Brookside. Okay, we had a big falling out at the end, but he was probably the bestest coach you could ever have. I mean, look where he is now. You know, he's one of the top performance center coaches. So, you know, I was trained by, did a bit of training with Ricky, James Mason, Justin Starr, Klondike Kate, Adam Angel, Thunder, Drew McDonald. You know, this is just a few names that was regularly at Scots training centres. And these weren't training centres for the faint-hearted either. These were proper, not like today. These were like, you know, I think it was like 150 or 190 odd pound, which, you know, back then was a hell of a lot of money. And it was over a course of a weekend. And you had to travel. You had to leave your house, go all the way to, actually, funny enough, it was in Southampton. But back then I lived in Weymouth. Well, that's not really just up the road. You'd stay in a travel lodge with like a boatload of people you never met before, and you worked your ass off, you know. And I remember like one case in particular, we were training, and I think I'd done the Friday training, and then on the Friday afternoon or Friday night, Scott had come in and said, "Look, I'm doing a show in, I want to say Exeter, but I think it was Exeter. Do you guys want to come down and be in the Rumble?" So you never say no. When you're a trainee, if you ever say no to a promoter, you're a dick. Like literally, you take the opportunities. You take every single show opportunity, because those show opportunities is what's going to make you. It gives you that experience, you know. Unless you've got something really major that you can't be there, why would you say no when you're learning the craft, you know? But what we didn't realise at the time is that we had paid for like obviously a 2 day, for a 2 or 3 day training weekend. We only had 1 day's training, because the next day we went straight to Exeter to do the show. Then the day after that, we were going home. So if you think about it, you basically pay to do a show, right? But back then, did we give a shit? No. You know, I think there was about 8 of us that went up. Did we give a rat's ass that we technically paid to go and do an event and didn't get anything out of it? No, because that was part and parcel of being a trainee and learning the craft. And we went and done it, and I loved every minute of it. Even though I got the shit kicked out of me, and everyone, like, at that time, everyone took the piss because I was the only one to get thrown over the top rope by, I can't remember his gimmick. It was, everyone knows it was Zach Bevis, Ricky Knight's son. But this was when he was really little. I don't want to put an age on it because I don't know, but I know he was really young. And he did a clown thing, I think it might have been Dink or Dunk or something like that. I can't remember. But as a child, he threw me over the rope, and I never lived that down, like, after that day from the trainees that were in my boot camp. And I was just so what? But, you know, look at where he is now, you know what I mean? So I was like, I'll take that. But, you know, going back, you know, I mean, I've gone to training schools, you know, I've gone to Rishi's training school, had a one-on-one with him, which was phenomenal. Even at my age, I was still learning. And just because I'm not actively going to training schools, it's very difficult in my life, because I don't get a lot of time off. This is what people don't understand, you know. I work 7 days a week. I'm not even kidding. My main job, like now, I work nights. I do 12-hour night shifts. I do 4 on, 4 off. On my 4 off, I don't get days, like 4 actual days off, because then I go and work for my second job. And then in between that, I'm still promoting the shows that we do. This is why I only do 1 show every, you know, 3 months or 4 months or whatever, because I just don't have time. I'd love to do 1 a month. I'd love to do 1 a week. You just can't. It's not feasible. And, you know, back in the day when we were doing like Novotel, a lot of the guys would remember, I would literally do a night shift on the Friday, on the Saturday night, and I hadn't even gone to bed. I was going from the venue straight home, shit shower shave, and then going straight to the venue. And I was at that venue from 10 o'clock in the morning right through until 11 o'clock that night. And sometimes I'd wrestle twice. Now you try doing that when you haven't even been to bed in like 24 hours. And they wonder why you can't go like, you know, these youngsters.
Yeah, I think there's an insinuation there that you don't work hard enough, and that must be quite hard to take, because it's very evident, even from my perspective, that you do work very hard. And the guys who work for you regularly, the guys who know you well, do speak very highly of you. The Chris Kays of the world, Roderick the Rambunctious, Eddie Kenway, Sky Smithson. You know, I don't hear, let's be honest, I don't hear shit talk from people who are deemed to be professional. Let's just say that much. So that speaks more about other people. Now, obviously, I know it's something you wanted to mention on the podcast, so I'll bring it up now. There was an incident that happened a while back that has only just been kind of dealt with. Jay Knox, the wrestler, has been sentenced to, I believe, 21 months in prison for what was in most people's eyes clearly assault. I had plenty to say about it via our social media. I haven't really delved into it, but I shared the footage, and I like to leave people up to their own kind of ideas. If they want my opinion, they can ask and they can get it, but I like to leave it up to interpretation of a lot of people. I know you have a very differing opinion from me. That doesn't mean that I'm going to now start yelling at you going, fuck off, Nitro, you don't know anything. Ultimately, I respect the fact that you have a difference of opinion and you're not going to scream at me for thinking something else. But I know that from your perspective, and obviously someone who knows Jay Knox pretty well, a guy who I believe runs or did run Fight Star down in Bournemouth, you have an opinion on this scenario. So tell us what you think about this, because for those of you who don't know, and I will try and provide the footage for our YouTube video just in case you are listening via audio, so definitely check that out. Jay Knox, who is a professional wrestler, has been for a while, an OVW certified trainer, basically gave a younger guy who wasn't young, but he was obviously didn't have the experience he did. He basically shot on him, gave him a receipt, kicked him flush in the face, hard enough that it needed reconstructive surgery. It was, for lack of a better term, assault, whether you like it or not. There's no denying that, and the footage will correlate that. But I know with the way that you, Kay, and others were brought up, you might have a difference of opinion.
To be fair, I do agree with you. I really do. I do think it was brutal. I've seen the footage. I've seen the aftermath. I wouldn't have liked it. So I do sympathise with the guy. I wish him all the best. I don't even know him, to be honest, but I'll still wish him all the best because it was horrific. Do I think it warranted the length of time that he got? This might ruffle a few feathers and might piss people off, but apparently I piss people off anyway, so what the heck.
Why are you here?
I don't think he should have got prison time, in my opinion, because I know how much prison really does fuck people up. I know that with the prison that he's gone to. I won't mention it, but I used to work there, so I know how bad it is. And, I don't want this to sound or be taken the wrong way in any way, shape or form, but me and another wrestler said this the other day. If they're going to start handing out prison sentences for every wrestler who is a bit stiff or snug or, for the latter word, does receipts, the prison better get a load more rooms. Because can everyone who wrestles really say, especially back in the day, that they didn't go a bit full on? Do you know what I mean? But that doesn't say that I condone it, because I don't. And to be fair, Jay's a veteran. He's been doing it longer than I have. He should know. And if I ever speak to him again, I will tell him, you're a fucking idiot. You should know better. You were his trainer. Why would you do a hardcore match with a trainee anyway? Because I fucking wouldn't. I have to be able to trust the person I'm going to do a weapons match with, because this ain't ballet. I've said this 1,000 times. Wrestling is not ballet, and it's far more real than what people give it credit for, because a lot of people just throw it out. Oh, you're a phony. It's fake. Oh, you're just another fake actor. And no, it's not. How can you fake gravity when you jump off that top rope and the bugger moves, or the guy suplexes you off the top rope or whatever? It fucking hurts. You can land wrong and break your back. There's been more people in this sport that have died either in the ring or out of the ring due to whatever reason than any other sport known to man, I think. So how can it be fake? Yes, it's choreographed. We're not going to insult people's intelligence. But with that footage in particular, I personally, don't get me wrong, it's still wrong in any way, shape or form. But when I saw the footage, and I had to watch it about 9 or 10 times, I don't think I might be wrong. I don't think he was legitimately aiming for his face. Possibly, I don't know. But from the way the footage looks, he goes for it. He obviously stiffed Jay in the back. You can see that a mile away. He boots him in the back. Obviously, that wasn't spoke about, whatever. And obviously, the guy goes for a cover. He throws him off after 2. Now, this is what annoyed me, is that the press have said that the guy's hands were locked on his knees. No, they weren't, because he was kicked out of a pin. So if you look at his hands closely, they're by his side, or they're resting on his knees because he's just getting up. So they weren't locked. Jay's obviously springboarded up. in obviously a fit of rage. I'm not going to deny that. You can see it in his bloody face. As if you look at it closely, as he spins round and runs in for the kick, the guy slightly moves forward. So I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just giving a different spectrum of it. And obviously Jay's followed through. Now, personally, he should have stopped. And he's booted him in the face. Okay. Now, the press are saying he was asked to stop the match. Who would have done that then? Because we've all had accidents during matches. We've all been busted open, myself included. I lost a shitload of blood on one of the matches that I did at the Grand Harbour. Did we stop? No, because you're live. I don't know where that would have come from, but this is what I read in the papers anyway. And it's all been copy and pasted, as you can tell, because every different paper has used the exact same sentences and words. Knowing what Jay's like, I do think he would have had remorse. I don't think he would have just afterwards just gone, oh, well. Should the guy have gone to the police? It's a tough one for me because it doesn't matter who it is, but you wouldn't remember this because obviously you wasn't with us then, but you probably know both of them. Well, you definitely know one of them. We had an issue with, and she won't mind me saying it because we spoke about it at the time, but I did quite a big show that I believe Ricky Knight was on, actually. It was a sellout, basically, at the Novotel. And I had a fatal four-way, women's fatal four-way. And it's still, to this day, it is the most viewed video that we have. I think it's up to about 30,000 views, but it's for all the wrong reasons. This video went global. It went all over the place. Sky Smithson, this other girl that I'd never heard of before, Anthea the Fire Fury or something like that. Anthena the Fire Fury or something. But I liked her look. She had a massive gimmick. It was like very Centrinian, very sort of Roman-y. She come out with a big Roman mask on. But she came out fireballing, which I thought was fucking amazing. For a cabaret show, which is what we are, I thought it fitted. Demeanor was in there, and I can't remember the fourth, so my apologies for whoever that was. I want to say Tammy, but I'm not 100%. Well, anyway, so during this bout, now I was unknown about any of this that had gone on. Apparently, it was alleged that Sky had been a bit snog on Anthena. Now, Anthena was an ex-semi-pro or was a semi-pro boxer, and she was quite stocky as well. Now, on the video, I saw it for myself afterwards because I didn't know at the time. She's charged over the ring, and she must have gave Sky at least 2 to 3 right hooks and uppercuts to her jaw. Now, Sky's spitting out blood, carried on wrestling, gone to the locker room. She's led on the floor on her back, right? Now, she had a lump like that. Now, I've gone in and just said to her, like, are you all right? Because obviously I was pulled from each way from Sunday. And she told me roughly that, there was an accident in the ring and she thinks she's injured. And I said, oh, shit, okay. Later on, I think it might have been the next day, I rang her to see if she was all right. Because I love Sky. I think she's the most underrated female wrestler I've ever witnessed in my entire life. Now, she should be with NXT UK. I'm all for Bobby Tyler. I know she's not called that anymore, but fair play to her because we've had her on our show as well. But Sky, why is she not booked? I don't get it. She would run rings around most of the WWE talent. So anyway, I rang her and she's told me she's had to go to hospital. She's got a broken jaw and has to have like a plate fitted, I believe, or something like that, and screws. And I felt utter shit that A, I didn't pick up on this, and B, I didn't know that it had actually happened because no one told me. So a couple of days later, I ring her opponent, Anthena or whatever her name is, and I had a personal, because I won't do the whole keyboard warrior thing. I won't go on social media and rant about people. I'll just go straight to them. So I rang her and I said, look, this has happened. You did this. I've seen the footage. You intentionally did this because you can't fake that. You proper went to town on her. And this is a result of what's happened. There was no remorse. She did not give a shit. She said to me, it was a fucking receipt, get over it. Well, no, actually, a stiff chop maybe. Everyone knows Sky likes to work snug. You and me, we like that because it helps you to sell it. I've heard you say that before. How can you sell something if there's like a half a meter gap in between you?
I mean, obviously, what people don't understand, especially if they haven't trained at all, and I'm not expecting everyone to, obviously, it's not everyone's cup of tea, and it doesn't have to be your cup of tea, but it's very important. Like, for instance, I don't mind if someone's going to forearm me correctly. If you just straight out forearm me in the jaw, that's ridiculous. Like, there has to be, you're taught where to forearm properly. Now, if someone forearms me in the correct place and puts a bit of fucking heat on it, that's fine. Ultimately, guy my size is going to know if you're trying to take liberties or not, and you'll know very quickly if you are, because the thing is, I'm not the sort of person who will ever do that, and you'll probably know from being in the ring with me, I am so light as a feather for my size, and people are always amazed by that. Like, I've had people say to me, I didn't even know you were punching me. It looks like you're hitting me, but I didn't know. And that's because I understand that I think you should look after each other. That's the whole idea. And it looks better if you look after each other. And one of the hardest men in the business I've ever known is Paul Robinson. And I remember him saying actively, yeah, receipts are all very well and good, but if you're throwing your match plan out to try and get one over your opponent because they caught you a bit stiffly or whatever, ultimately you're all suffering because you're making the match look shit, and then it looks shit to an audience. So it's difficult. Every scenario is different, but please carry on, mate.
Yeah, I do totally agree with what you just said. I've never ever done a receipt on someone. I've had it done to me several occasions, but that was obviously back in the day. Generally nowadays, I've never had anyone. I've had people late in a bit snug, yeah. I've never had anyone actually intentionally try and hurt me. And if I was ever in that situation, I don't really know how I'd handle it. I think, me personally, I think receipts are a joke. I don't think they should happen. But likewise, I don't think what builds to that receipt, because there's always two sides to every story. You can't it's not a receipt if nothing happened to begin with, because then that's not a receipt, is it? It's just someone being a prick. Like you just said, I think wrestling now should be more catered for, you should look out for each other, because in WWE and stuff, and in AEW, I presume, they choose to look after each other, because if you don't look after each other and you're not wrestling each other, you're not making money. No. You don't have to like the person. I remember watching a documentary, and Terry Funk said a really good phrase where he said, you could be non-mates at the beginning, but the more money you make, the better friends you are. And it's true. In the UK, not so much, because there isn't a lot of money in British wrestling. There never has been. There might have been back in the day of the World of Sport, but people have to realise that it ain't that anymore.
Yeah.
That's
people think it is, though, don't they? They think because we've had the big boom, what they forget is that, for better or for worse, Progress, Rev Pro, ICW, the guys who are affiliated with WWE, they're the ones who actually probably hoover up most of the money. There isn't that much money to be made. The majority of shows you're attending, even good ones, like Reach down in the Southwest, who we personally love, they're not actually making a huge amount of money for themselves. They make most of their money from training people. That's why so many of these companies now have training schools, because that's the only way to make enough money to help run these shows.
Exactly. And I think, small town independent wrestling, there is no money to be made. We know that, because this is why I don't take a profit. I donate all of it, because if you were to take a percentage, then you're not really helping the charities. And I'd rather do that than make anything.
That's exactly why I don't expect to get paid, by the way, if I work for CWP, because there's been insinuations, because yeah, I mean, ultimately for me, like, I have had people say to me, or say behind my back mostly, that, well, you're always banging on that everyone should be paid when they work. Absolutely, you should be paid if the promoter has the capability. But if the promoter is a charity promotion like yourself, and you say to me, like you say, we might pay some of the high-end guys who are, you know, Chris K draws tickets. People pay to see Chris K. Rishi Ghosh, he draws tickets. You know, I'm not, just because these guys may not necessarily like me or know me that well, I'm not stupid. I know that no one's paying money to see me. People are paying money to see guys like, people are paying money to come and see you and support you, your family, your friends as well. So, you know, those people, rightfully so, should be compensated for the draw and the promotion. And I always believe that actually you should be paid based on how much you're willing to promote it yourself as well. For instance, you'll know me very well. I always make sure you have a promo. I always make sure that the show is covered for the podcast. It is previewed. You know, I put a lot of work in that people don't see other than just going out there and getting my ass handed to me for 5 minutes. Like, I do a lot of stuff that people don't see, but I just wanted to quickly jump in and say, yeah, I don't get paid to wrestle for CWP, but I see that as a little bit different. Obviously, where I've moved away now and I live on the other side of the country, if you can comp petrol or whatever, or little things, or compensate me with, you know, whatever, that's fair enough. But that's neither here nor there. But I don't have a problem not being paid to work a show like that. First of all, because I'm still a trainee, and second of all, because it's for charity. And I would rather the 30 quid I might pick up go to a cause that actually fucking needs it, because I'm not that arrogant or egotistical enough to believe that I warrant a wage from what I do.
But another thing as well is you know, when people do say that about us, it, not what you just said, but I just mean like what people have said to you about, oh, you know, you go and work for them, but they won't fucking pay you. Those same companies are not paying all of their talent either.
No, not. And you know what? This is something that's going to upset people as well. And this will be my final piece. I won't mention companies, but we all know who they are. They have a plethora of trainees at their disposal, and they do not fucking pay them to run the vans, do the driving, sell the merch. And those guys are working 12 to 14-hour shifts. Now, with, you know, I can say to your face, if Robbie Nitro said to me, I want you to drive the 200 miles here, I want you to record the matches, do the podcast, maybe do some announcing, I want some sort of compensation for that, obviously. But if you say to me, would you mind coming down, having a little match, having a bit of fun with the lads, chilling out and whatever, cool. If I can make it so it's not going to affect me personally, sure. But when I hear these other people say, oh, you're not going to get paid to work for CWP, fuck off. You've got like 16, 17-year-olds that are working for 14 hours a day at big halls and stuff like that, and they're not getting paid a penny because apparently exposure will pay the rent. No, it fucking doesn't. It doesn't. And that's exactly right there.
And you know what? That's the thing that pisses me off, is that these said companies that do nothing but run their mouths, but not once have they ever come to me personally, looked into my eyes and actually said, because I'm old school, I'm old fashioned, you know, I'm not what these guys say I am. I mean, all right, I'm not the hardest guy on the planet, but I'm not a pussy either. And, you know, if you really don't like me that much, or you've got an opinion about my company, then fine, come and say it to my face and we'll see what happens. Because those said companies, like you just said, are the exact same ones that they don't pay the fucking guys. They make their guys actually pay. I mean, I'm not going to say who it is, but the boys will know. This is how bad these companies are. This one company that was slagging me off to the nines, because they didn't like a certain trainee because he was mentally challenging, they made him. Now, all right, people will say you can't make him. Well, yeah, you can when you don't really understand the full concept of what's going on. They said to him, if you pay £350 or £400 or whatever it was into the company, we'll let you go over in the Rumble. So this bloody trainee, and this is legit as well, because I found out from quite a few people, and the said person that did it actually admitted that he did it. He paid £350 or £400 to enter a fucking Rumble, which I find disgusting. And he didn't even go over because they fucked him over. And then they booted him out anyway. Exactly. So when I do shows, I've said to you in the past, I say to every single person that we book, the ones that I agree to pay, they always do me a discount. They always do me a special rate because it is a charity show. Even huge star names like Bram done me a discount because it's a charity show. The other ones that are local, I will either, if I can't pay them a wage, I will agree to help towards their exes or their fuel or whatever. But I always, without a shadow of a doubt, now in my heart, I would love to be able to be at the point where every single person on that card, no matter how big or small the card is, gets something, right? Unfortunately, in this day and age, you can't always have that. I don't even get paid, right? And I own a sodding company and I'm wrestling in it. But this is the thing. This is what really pisses me off with these people. And they need to pack it in, because it's going to get to the point where I'm going to start doing things like this, and I'm going to start shooting on people, and I'm going to start fucking name dropping, because I just got to that point now where I'm like, I really don't care anymore. You know, these said people that are going around, and you know who they are, like everyone knows who they are that they've spoke to. They're saying, oh, you know, don't work for them because they don't get paid. They've got no idea. Now, we're a charity show that's non-profit. The amount of times that I've had to put money, I've had to take money out of my own pocket and my own bank account to pay for things like posters, to pay for things like advertising. I can't afford that. Why do you think I've got 2 jobs? But I do. And do I take that back? No, because I'd rather it go to charity. Now, me and Kelvin J, who's like the general manager for CWP, we have both taken money out of our own pocket to pay for things that need to be paid for, to save the cost being as high as what it would have been, right? Now, we don't take that back, and we should, in all fairness, but we don't. So these arsewipes that are saying, oh, you know, don't work for them because you won't get paid. Well, okay, yes, they should get paid, but if we've already had a pre-conversation about that, I don't ever say to like guys like you, I don't book you and go, oh, you know, I'm booking you for the next show, and that's it, and then, you know, the money's just expected, because unless you agree, how do you know what you're going to be paid, and how do you know what you're going to have to pay? So I always make a point of going, even the big star names, I make a point of going, how much do you want? Just please bear in mind, it is a charity show. We have a small budget. What can you do? You know, I'm honest with people. And this is what pisses me off, because I am honest with people. And if I can't pay them, I will say it's an unpaid gig. Take it or leave it. If you don't want, I've said to someone just today, actually, I said, somebody new that we've not had before, on our next event, we're doing a big rumble. I said, as a main event, I said, you know, he asked me to enter it. And case in point, I'm not going to say who they are, but since a certain podcast that went out, I've had 3 people from said company email me personally asking to work for me. Now, I'm not going to mention who they are, because I don't truthfully know if they still work for that company or not, and I don't really care.
That is evil, to be honest. Never.
Yeah. But I've said to them, yes, we're doing a rumble, blah blah blah. By all means, come down, show us what you can do. Treat it as like an audition, if you will. Not that it really is, but it is an unpaid gig, because it's a rumble spot, and you know, I'm just doing what I had to do when I first started. I never got bloody paid, and I didn't moan about it. I mean, you should get paid in an ideal world. But if you're doing wrestling full-time, all credit to you. I don't see how anyone can do it full-time, even when we were doing shows, because there's limited money in it. Unless you're like with All Star or somewhere like that, where they are doing shows every day of the week, then, you know, you might be able to make something. But every wrestler knows that it's a dying breed. It's a dying sport. It's a dying job. 1 minute it's up here, the next minute it's down there. You know, it's been like that for years and years and years. So, you know, going back to the paying thing, even when I do a booking for somebody else who, you know, sometimes I know them, sometimes I don't. I've worked on shows that I don't even know the promoter, never even heard of the company. But all I've said to him is, because I don't rate myself that highly, if you cover the X's, then happy days. I'll do the show for free, but just cover the fuel. Which is what I do for a lot of the guys that we use. And on the ones that we can't, what we try and do, you know, whether people believe this or not, I don't really give a shit, because I know we do it. We give you opportunities. Now, you know, what Eddie Kenway was talking about, and Dirty Dave Dennis as well, with like RevPro and stuff, you know, missed opportunities, not pushing people, not giving people the creative control to, you know, unearth their talents and let the viewing paying public see what they're paying for, you know, not giving them ideas, not even interested in their ideas. That crap does not happen with us. We give people creative power of control over their most of their matches. Even recently, me and you had a private conversation that we won't overly go into because it's being kept under wraps, but we have spoke, and I've said, it's your baby, it's your idea. Let's see what you can do. Run with it. If it works, it works. If it don't, we'll think of something else. And that's for the ones that unfortunately don't end up getting paid for whatever reason, because you can't pay everyone. you know, we like to give you something in return. You know, I've given guys championship belts that, do they deserve a championship title? Yes, in my opinion. To others, no. Don't really care what others think, because every single person I've put a strap on, that sounded really bad. I've put a title on. I've just realised how that sounded.
Very friendly promotion. It's a very friendly promotion.
Very PG. Every person I've put a title on, in my opinion, they wholesomely deserve it. Some people I've heard in the past saying, "Oh, why has that person got a title? They don't deserve that." You know, I've heard people say about me and Roderick, you know, "Oh, you're really good, aren't you? You're a tag champion of your own company. Well done." Okay, go and say that. I'm not comparing myself, but go and say that to Cody Rhodes then. He was TNT champion for his own company.
Kenny Omega at the Young Bucks are EVPs for AEW. I've spoken ad nauseum about that. The other thing I will say is, just quickly jumping in, do I think you and Roderick are the best wrestlers in the world? No. Do I think I'm the best wrestler in the world? No. I reckon both of you could probably wrestle rings around me, personally, because I don't think I'm very good at all. However, one thing I will say is, when you come out, you get a response. You have a band playing for you, for instance. The crowd know you, and ultimately, both of you do bring in a lot of seats, a lot of asses to seats, because people know both of you well. And as far as I'm concerned, okay, I'm not going to see Roderick and Rambunctious have a 5-star Meltzer Classic, but at the same time, if he's bringing 20, 30 people in through the door because he's got friends and family that are coming in, absolutely he deserves some sort of compensation for that. Absolutely that point should be celebrated, because when it's all said and done, you want as many people to come in the door and be entertained and have a good time. That's much more important to me than, oh, well, so-and-so didn't get the strap because, you know, so-and-so wanted it for themselves. I don't give a shit about that. I'm more concerned that the people who come through the door are entertained by whatever I do and by whatever the people around me do.
But also, it's like, you know, that has put me off over the years. That, why do you think you've never seen me as heavyweight champion? Because I choose to keep myself out of that division, because
Chris K will kill you, that's why.
Yeah, and some of the fans have gone, "Why have you never gone for the main title? Why have you never gone for any other title?" And I'm like, I didn't really want to win the tag titles, truth be told, because I was so scared of people's reactions. I even put, I'm not going to say who it was, because they actually did get the wrong end of the stick and they apologized, but this is how quick people can judge. I did a show for someone else who was a charity show. And, you know, that poor bugger got absolutely ridiculed and persecuted just for putting a charity show on to help somebody that was dying. I thought the whole process was disgusting. Those people know who they are that slagged it off. And in my opinion, fuck you. You know, this person asked me to help them because of my experience with charity shows, and I did. We all got slagged off to the nines. To be fair, I'm going to say it, Red Pro in particular were two of the biggest ones that slagged us off. And the talent that guy had on was brilliant. You know, they had really good talent on. All right, it weren't a great turnout, but okay, it was a charity show. It was in a little... I didn't personally like the venue because it was out of the way. And to be fair, I was more scared of leaving the car where it was in the car park, because it kind of looked like that. But he did what he did, and bless him, you know, he put on his first ever event. Now, he asked me to go over in the Rumble. Now, I never asked for it. I didn't particularly want it because I thought there was better guys there that could have done it. Now, he asked me to do it. I said, okay, fine. So he gave me a trophy, and we all got a medal for taking part, which is what I used to do in the old days. I used to buy everyone a medal for taking part, just as a little thank you.
Where's my medal?
I put up a photo. I stopped doing it a while ago. I might bring it back though. We'll have a smaller.
I got a trophy, mate. I'm very happy. I'm okay. I got my trophy. Like, that's more than I deserve.
Exactly. So you got a trophy too. But I put a photo up saying, you know, really pleased, Rumble winner, whatever, with the medal. Now somebody said, "Oh, that was something really to be proud of," or something like that, winning a Rumble on your own event. Now I then put a comment on saying, "No, wasn't my show. It was for somebody else and in a different town." And that said person then did apologise quite wholesomely. And I class him as a friend, so you know that was irrelevant. But I just wanted to say that, to, you know, the people like at Rev Pro, and you know, now I've heard, just going off a little bit of subject, but I've heard recently like things being said about my by this Andy Quindon or whoever he is. Now I know of him. I've never met the guy.
What, the owner and promoter of Rev Pro?
Yeah. Now I've heard over the time and recently that he said stuff about us. I've never once physically spoke to that guy. I've never seen him. I only knew of him because Rev Pro is, in my opinion, a very big company and quite well deserved. You know, they've got a hell of a lot more talent than I'm ever going to have. They've got a hell of a lot more connections than I'm ever going to have. And, you know, they are a big deal. You know, like them or loathe them, it's irrelevant. They are still a big company and always have been. I've never once said anything bad against them. I've just done it right now. I've just said something really good about them and given them a big compliment, even though they've done nothing but slag us off. That's me, mug. But, you know, when I hear about the two Andys, and that's all I'm going to say because everyone knows exactly who I'm talking about, you know, they run us down to the ground like you won't believe. And nothing's ever happened. I don't understand why these people slag us off. You know, things like it's going to ruin your career. Fuck off. It's an independent wrestling company, which are independent wrestlers. You're not contracted to Red Pro. You're not contracted to All Star. You're not contracted to anyone else, maybe the bigger companies. You're independent. You can work for whoever you want as long as you don't be a dickhead and you don't double book yourself. And the cardinal rule is you don't say things bad about the other companies on that other company. That's my rule. I don't tell anyone. I've told Eddie Kenway. I've told other people. If you want to work for Red Pro and me at the same time, go ahead. Who the fuck am I to tell you who you can and can't work for? I don't understand why they think they're above their own station of, oh, we'll tell you who you're going to work for. No, you won't. You know, they can work for whoever they want. The only one thing that I say to people is, please don't say anything derogatory or don't gossip or don't talk about us. Why would you? You're on another company. You know, if someone asks how we're getting on, then fine. But, you know, try and keep it separated. That's all I ask. And I think that's fair. Yeah. You know, I don't think that could be ridiculed because I say try not to disclose anything about us to another company, because isn't that the whole point? You know, but I think gone are the days of territories. You know, even in America, you know, back in the day, like people were fucking working for every single company you could, you know, because that's how you get over. You know, and it's like Dave Dennis now, bless his heart. He's, you know, he's a lot maturer and he's actually getting off his arse and he's going out there and he's trying to get booked. And I'm proud to have someone like that working within my company. I'm proud to have you. I'm proud to have the guys that I've got because I have an arsenal of really good talent that are local. And for me, as a local company, that's perfect. You know, we pride ourselves on being a British family-run company. And, you know, we're not really going to bring that many imports in anymore because it is a big cost bill. It's colossal. Like to bring someone over, it blows your head.
Travel expenses, you know, hotels, things like that. That's just not feasible.
Exactly. And I noticed, and it's no disrespect to anyone that I've had on, but here's the proof in the pudding, right? We had Bram on. All right. I loved it. I kind of did that for my own, because I love the guy. I wanted to say at least we had Bram on. It was an ego thing for the company, whatever. We had him on, but we had less people at that show than we had on the one previous when we had Ricky Knight on. We sold that show out. I had standing room only at the Novotel, and all the boys that were on that night will know how stonking of a card and how mega that show was. I had 40 people stood in front of the bar because they couldn't get a seat.
Awesome.
Now, I put out 200 chairs. That's more than some companies get round here that have been going for 30 odd years, and they used to have this will narrow it down a little bit, and they used to have a Sky televised show every week. We end up getting more than you. So if we were that bad, why would we be selling out shows, you know? So it taught me a very valuable lesson. The Southampton fans don't give a shit whether you bring in Americans, Japan, Germany, France, whoever, it doesn't matter. They don't give a money. Yeah, they're going to turn up because it's wrestling and it's you guys. But, you know, they don't care. I've learned this over the years. They do not give a monkey's ass. They want to see local guys that they would possibly see in the street. That's what I've learned. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But for us as a company, that's true, because we end up getting more people at our other shows when we don't have a big import coming in than we do when we do. So, you know, on the next show, yeah, we got 2 Americans coming over, but you know, they haven't been with WWE or anything like that, but they've become really good friends, and I love them to death. I think they're fucking awesome, and I'm bringing them over purely for the fact that, now take note, they've never worked. This just goes to shut the namesayers up. They've never worked for us before. I'll mention him, right? I'll give him a shout out. Francesco Vargo. What a fucking guy. This guy has been against legends that said company would never do. Now, he's had personal wrestling matches with them. He was the top trainee out of the legend Tony Atlas's boot camps. Tony Atlas is his personal friend and mentor. Right? Now, you can't, in my opinion, there's no bigger. There's no bigger accolade than saying I was trained by Tony Atlas and he's my personal friend. All right. Now, he's coming over from the States to work for me on the next show, and all I've got to do is put him up. Right? I hope you don't mind me saying that. He's donated his wage to the charity because he believes in the charity just like I do, because we're doing it for a charity that I've never done before. But judging by the last podcast me and you did, you can understand why I'm doing it. This next show, which I will say, we've already booked it, so I will mention it near the end of this show. But it's literally for you know, children that were sexually abused as children, and I've wanted to do a show for a charity like that since I started. But there was always, you know, other charities that had already booked and, you know, couldn't do it. Now, this next show is called CWP Reborn, because we are going to be reborn. We've had pandemic, we've had COVID, we've had restrictions, we've had curfews, we've had a ban. They've not seen us for a year and a half, just over. So this to us is going to be us reborn. Not only, I'm not going to give out any hidden surprise. There is surprises, I hasten to add, but I'm not going to say it now. But you know, this next show is going to put all the other shows, you know, the fans are going to go like that. Fuck me, wow. Not only are you getting a brand new set, but you're also getting a brand new show with brand new talent coming in, with a mixture of old talent that we usually use. So, you know, we're doing all of that, and we've even created a new championship that will get revealed. We're doing all of that, and yet we're a shitty charity show that doesn't get anyone. Am I wasting my time? I don't get it. I really don't get it, because, you know, I've never said, like me and Roderick, for instance, right? You said it earlier. We're never ever going to be a Young Bucks. We're never going to be a Brood. We're never going to be an Acolytes. We're never going to be whatever it is that these idiots are thinking of. Because, you know, every time I hear somebody like, you know, another company slag us off and say, oh, you shouldn't be tag champions because you're shit. Okay, so who are you? You know, we're British. We're not American. Unless you're in WWE, you're not really known, you know, worldwide, unless you drag your ass around the world to get working with these companies. You know, and Sky Spitz in particular, she's busting her ass going all over the world to get known. That's what you have to do in this country. You can't just stay in this country and go, I'm a full-time professional wrestler, because unless you're working for a company that does shows every night of the week, how the hell are you full-time? The only one company who I will give a shout out to, because I absolutely fucking love them, is WAW. Now, when they come back, they are a full-time, legitimate, I hasten to add, professional company. That is their livelihood. That family cannot survive without that company. That's their income, right? That's how they feed their kids. That's how they pay their bills. They're doing shows or training sessions or performance centers every fucking day of the week. So the guys that work for them are literally, you know, can honestly say, hand on heart, I'm a full-time wrestler. Who else can? You can't. You're a part-time wrestler at best, because you're working, like round here, especially in like Hampshire and that, you're working for companies that will put on shows like maybe once a month if you're lucky, or every couple of months, you know, because no one can afford it. You can't do a show like, I mean, Chris K at the moment is probably up here, you know, everyone else is like that, because Chris K is stonking it with his shows before pandemic. He always did. His shows are awesome, you know. Everyone else, in my opinion, gets in line, and that's me included. You know, we're probably down here, you know what I mean? And everyone else is like that. But you know, to slate other people, it's not the old days. You know, there's no such thing as you're not allowed to work for them. You're not allowed to work for them. You have to work for us and us alone. Who the hell can actually, honestly, hand on heart, have the ridiculous fortitude to actually tell someone, I will tell you who you're working for? Come on. You can't, you know. That's why I've never done it. And you know, people like Red Pro and stuff. And I know what one of the Andy's problem is. Considering I mentioned the one that I didn't know, you can kind of work it out. I know what his issue is with me, and it's so pathetic, it's unreal. You know, Andy Simmons, right? I'm going to say him. Don't give a fuck anymore. Bollocks to it. You can come and hunt me down and kill me, whatever. He's got an issue with me, right? That goes back a while, and whether it admits it or not, I'm going to put it to bed finally for me, because he's one that I keep hearing from loads of people that keeps saying bad things about me or the company or whatever. Okay, whether he has or not, I can't honestly say because I've not spoken to him for years, but it's what you hear. So I booked my very first show, that one I told you about at the beginning of the show, the Help for Heroes show at Gold's. Right, I hired Simmons and his ring. Right, because back then he was hiring a ringer. Yeah. Put the posters out, everything else. Now, I think it was like 2, maybe 3 weeks before the event. Might even have been a month. I'm not sure. He basically pulls out. Right, now this is the biggest show I've ever done in my life that I own. There's a lot fucking riding on it because I did a 30-man WWE style Rumble, which I think we went over 30 in the end because I was trying to be nice and let everyone in. And you know, it was less than a month before the event. He texts me, doesn't ring, just texts, and says, my van's broke down. I got no van anymore. So if you want the ring, if you can get a van, I'll tell you where it is. You can gladly still use it as long as you take it back. Okay, fine. Back then, I didn't have a fucking van. I couldn't afford to go and rent one. So I was like, oh, what am I going to do? I've got no fucking ring. Shit. Without a ring, what have you got? Nothing. You got a bunch of people doing something on gym mats. Yeah, people are going to pay a tenner to go and watch that, aren't they? So, but the other thing is what he didn't realise is that by that time, I have a cut-off date, right? So the posters were designed, they were printed, and they were fucking up, right? Now, I did hear during that time that he went around saying, oh, fucking what an arsehole, he's put me on the poster and put my friends on the poster that we were never even booked. Yes, you fucking were. Because we had a price and we had an agreement, and I still have that written down, and I kept the fucking messages to prove to people that yes, they were booked, but that he chose to pull out. Now, what am I supposed to do? Go around the whole county removing every single bloody poster that's got them on it, and putting up new ones? You know, I have any idea how much that would cost and the time that would go into that. So we just left them up, and you know, and to which point I had the Hooligans and Ricky Knight booked for that show. That were actually going. It was all agreed and it was booked. But unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances with them, not us, which they were completely honest about, they proved. This is why I've got 1,000,000% respect for the whole family, because they were very upset with themselves. Basically, cut a long story short, they accidentally double booked themselves and they didn't realise. Or not a double booking. It was they got X amount of bookings from a company that they work for, like all the time and full time. But you know, me and Zach had a conversation. He was completely honest. He was very apologetic, but said they couldn't make the show. Well, I already had them on the poster because they was already done. That was my main attraction. Did they then start slagging me off for still advertising them? No, because if someone pulls out of my show and they're in my opinion, they're given the respect to even be put on the poster, which, another thing, these people that keep slagging me off didn't even put fucking guys on their poster that have been working for them for 6 years. Come on, people. Anyway. So I'm so going to get fucking...
I'm sure that guy's been on a podcast as well, but I don't have any idea.
Yeah, I wonder who that was. Anyway, you put the big people that are going to draw talent, or not draw talent, sorry. You put the talent that are going to draw bums on seats on your poster. That's why your poster is your main advertising point, right? And everyone else goes around, okay? So obviously I have a cut-off date. Now, if someone pulls out of my event and they're already on the poster, like at the moment, I've had someone pull out that was on the poster, but I've replaced them with someone else, because at the moment my show's not till November, so I've got plenty of, they've not even been printed yet, so I can have that person deleted and another person added. It's easy, right? You know, you're a designer. Anyone who's a designer knows how easy it is to take someone off, put someone on. Okay. Now, if you've already had those posters printed, you put money into those posters and they're already in fucking shops. How are you going to go around? You're not going to go around taking them all down. You'll just leave it. And then on the night, if anyone happens to mention, because back then we didn't have the amount of social media that we have now. Now, had we have got the marketing social media that we have now, I would have put a message on there and said, due to I wouldn't have slagged them off. I would have just said, due to unforeseen circumstances, Simmons, whoever else it was, I think it was Zulu Warrior or someone, and the rest of them can't make it to the show. Stay tuned for, you know, replacements or whatever. You put whatever. But back then, we didn't have that. It was our first ever event. I didn't have social media. I had my social media, but I didn't have companies. Because if you remember, back at that point, CWP didn't fucking exist. We didn't have a company. I only gave it a name because, and ideally, I wasn't even going to give it a CWP. I wasn't going to call it a name because I had no intention of carrying it on. I just wanted to do one final show to raise a decent amount of money and to get in there and see if I could still do it. And being there, I got the bug back, and being there in front of all the crowd that we had, and the fact that it was freezing when we did the Rumble, I've never seen guys happily get eliminated for a Rumble because it was so cold. Because obviously times went on. By the time we did the Rumble, it was like 9 o'clock at night, and we're outside under floodlights.
Everyone wants the Santino spot, so I can go straight out.
So yeah, so you know. I'll say this on here, right? Because I mentioned the story about Simmons. That's what I believe is the issue. Whether it is, I don't know, but that's the only thing that's ever happened where legitimately he's had an excuse to say something about me. If he's hearing shit from other people, then that's on you. That's not on me. That's not on CWP. If you're dumb enough to listen to, not saying him, I'm just saying anyone. If you're stupid enough to listen to idle gossip from a third hand, why would you not go to that said person and go, "Oh, bro, you know, have you been saying this?"
Well, the podcast is
not once have these. I know. Not once have these people ever sent me a message or come to me. You know, I'm not a hard guy to find. I live and work in Southampton. It's not a major big city. You know, why have they not, you know, come up to the shows and gone, "Why are you saying all this shit?" Well, we're not actually, and here's the proof. Boom. I actually do have secretly, and this might sound a little bit controversial, I actually have a shitload of respect for Simmons, right? I honestly do. Whether people believe me or not, don't care. It's in here. I like the wrestler. The guy out of the ring, I don't like at the moment because that's all I'm hearing is these guys are slagging you off all the time. That doesn't mean I'm going to go around shoot-starting on him and slagging him off to the nines, because as a wrestler, he is up here. Like, he is phenomenal at what he does. And Simmons needs to remember something. The reason I think he's a really good wrestler and I have a load of respect for him is because he was like my second match back for the TWA. And we 5 minutes before the bout, and take note, I'm a runt of the litter trainee. I'm being told, "Oh shit," from the promoter, "I advertised an Anywhere Falls match, haven't got one, you're it." Okay. I'm then being scoop slammed and, you know, clotheslined on hard oak flooring, you know, on dance floorings. I'm being lobbed into chairs. You know, I'm being hit with chairs. We never fucking rehearsed any of that shit because we wasn't nowhere near ready for that. And I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't at the level where I could. Now, all right, people say I can't wrestle. Don't give a shit. The only thing that lets me down is my cardio and my weight. Now, there's a reason for that. And you know, if anyone don't like it, fuck off. I suffer with manic depression. I suffer with manic PTSD. That's, you know, Google it. It'll explain to you why some people react the way that they do. And I've had anxiety for years, and I've had a fucking lot of heartache. from childhood up until, you know, even not so much recently, but up until like, you know, a couple of years ago, I've had stuff happen to me that people don't know about that, you know, would think, fucking hell, did all that really happen to you in your life? Yes, it did. You know, but I try and keep that in the past because it's in the past. And I said it on that interview I did with BBC, and it's not just that either. It's loads of other stuff. That I come from a fucked up, broken home, so you know, I've had a lot, failed marriages, fucking everything. So I react differently to stress situations. I still do now, and I am quite. I probably shouldn't say it, but I really am. My wife says this all the time. I really am a sensitive soul. And I can't help it. I give off the look that, you know, you're rugged, you're covered in tattoos, you're a skinhead, you do like door jobs, you know, you do physically demanding work. You know, I work in probation with inmates every day of the week. So, you know, you'd think you wouldn't be that sensitive, but trust me, I really am. And this bullshit that I hear from people that are slagging us off, and, you know, especially guys like Simmons. Now, you know, fucking hell. That match that I had, even though it was thrown upon us, was probably up there with one of my all-time best five. You know, and I was about 19 and didn't know jack shit, but he helped me get through it, even though it was rough, and I did feed it the next day, in all fairness. Never hurt me once, never fucked up, never intentionally hurt me, even though I did, in all fairness, make him look like a dickhead. And I will say that, I fucked up in that match brutally to the point where the fans knew it, and were laughing their asses off, and he could have opened up on me because he whispered in my ear, obviously, what to do, and we sort of choreographed everything. And I've got a memory like a sieve. It's fucking shit. It still is nowadays. So a lot of my matches now are freestyled. I don't plan anything. I don't like it. I can just ad-lib at the time. Whether that's right or wrong, it works for me. I don't really care. So he's gone to give me a clothesline. Or no, sorry, I was meant to give him a clothesline or a shoulder tackle or whatever. We both go off the ropes, and he was meant to go down and I was meant to block it. And we both went down. And it wasn't it was oh shit, you just fucked up. And you know, it was a big house as well. I think it was in Hastings or somewhere like that. And there was a lot of people there, all ex-Murph or somewhere anyway. And you know, the crowd started laughing. Now that's mortifying. You've got a couple of hundred people and they're fucking giggling at you. You know, that's embarrassing. Now, he was a seasoned pro. He was a veteran even then. You know, he could have got up and gone, you know what, fuck this, and just opened up on me. But he didn't. He just kind of laughed himself. And then we carried on the match. And then afterwards, we got to the locker room. He explained to me what I did wrong. I already knew anyway.
Like, especially nowadays, like, you shouldn't be opening up on someone. I know you expect it because you were brought up differently, but at the same time, the way it went is how it should go all the time. That's why the Jay Knox situation upsets people, because there are just so many options now. It's not like the old days where, oh shit, now I'm going to get, you know, shellacked for getting it wrong. You know, nowadays there are plenty of options. Also, the crowd is knowledgeable enough that they're not going to fucking like you know, if you make a mistake in your match, I'm not going to go on the Wrestle Plug and say, fucking Robbie Nitro, mate, Botchamania, what a load of shit he is. Like,
I'm surprised I've not been put on Botchamania, in all fairness. But it's true though, you know, there's you know, but that story in particular, you know, now you know, I've never forgotten that. I've never forgotten the fact that he helped me, and I've seen him for years after that, and I always thought we were quite, you know, decent pals. You know, we'd always shake each other's hand, we'd always have a bit of a laugh, we'd always say to each other on other shows, "Oh, do you remember that?" You know, yeah. You know, but I haven't spoke to him for years. You know, because of all this bullshit. And it's really upsetting, you know. I would love to, I'm not saying, you know, I'm ever going to do anything with Red Pro. I know that's not going to happen. I don't personally want it to happen because I think it's just not going to work. But, you know, I've got guys now that are coming to us. Now, if we're this bad, why are guys, and this is going to fuck them off because they're not going to know who it is. And I ain't going to say either because at the end of the day, that's not me. I've got guys from their company or their training or whatever, actually coming to me saying, can we work for you? Can you book us? Can we show you what we can do? Can we be on your card? Anything, you know, don't care if we go over, don't care about money, just want to be on the card. And they're sending me their CVs. I had 4 2 days ago in the same fucking day. Now, if we're shit, I know guys are just trying to get their name out there and trainees are trying to get booked left, right and centre, and all credit to them because that's how you got to do it. You know, you haven't got an agent doing it for you. You got to do it yourself. If you want noticed, you get off your ass, you get out there, you work. It's the same in life. If you want money, get off your ass, work for it. But, you know, if we're this bad, why are all these people coming to us asking to work for us then? You know, why would you? You know, you wouldn't do it. You wouldn't sit there and go, well, I really want to be a wrestler, but, you know, I want to be really picky about who I work for. So I've heard bad things about them. I'm not going to go and work for them. You don't. You make your own mind up. You come to my show like you did on the first one you did for us, and you access it. You know, you divulge. You take in the atmosphere. You take in the backstage atmosphere. I still personally think we've got not the best, but we've got one of the most relaxed locker rooms I've ever been to, because everyone has a laugh, everyone's mixing, everyone's mingling, everyone's having fun, which is what a locker room should be. Now, you know, if we were going back to the day of, you know, and I hope Scott don't mind, because at the end of the day, that was where I trained. Back in them days, I wasn't even allowed in the fucking locker room, mate. Now, that is how strict wrestling was in them days. And this is what fucks me off nowadays, like people like that they slag us off and everything. When I first started, I had to get changed in corridors. I had to get changed in broom cupboards. And this ain't bullshit. This is legit. I wasn't allowed, and this really baffled me. Like, I wasn't allowed to talk to the veterans unless they spoke to me first. That's gospel. I remember Dave Taylor, you know, Dave Taylor, legend, WWE Dave Taylor. He purposely came out into the corridor and sat with me once and just had a conversation because he could see I was shitting myself. It was in Bournemouth at the BIC. And I fucked the whole match up. It was a triple threat against 2 lads. And the lads changed the beginning on me without telling me. Don't know why. Maybe because I was a trainee. I don't know. It threw me right off. So I fucked up, kept fucking up moves. You know, Scott wasn't happy, didn't listen to me, even though I said they changed it. I didn't know what I was doing. But back in them days, that's what it was like. You were not allowed anywhere near the professionals. You just wasn't. You know, I remember on a show in Hastings Pier, I had to get changed on the fucking pier in front of people eating their chips. How bad's that? When you're trying to cover up and you got the back door open at the pier and you're getting changed with fucking seagulls coming down shitting everywhere. You know, but that's just the way it was. You know, did you moan about it? Probably, yeah. But, you know, you didn't complain about it. You just bitched about it because that's just, everyone bitches, you know. It's part of being a human, for fuck's sake. But nobody actually went to the promoter and said, you're out of order. Or no one went to another company and started slagging that company off. Even I didn't, and I hated it. You know, I was bullied left, right, and centre from certain people. I was in tears in locker rooms, right? Because I was picked on. I'm not proud enough to admit it. But did I go around slagging that company off? No. Did I slag those wrestlers off? No. Because at the end of the day, it was what it was. You know, it made me appreciate when I did get stuff. It made, yeah, and people say, oh, you can't wrestle and you'll never amount to anything. Okay, fine, that's your opinion. Fair enough. Sometimes I can't wrestle. We all have off days. Sometimes I think I'm shit. But I've done what I wanted to do. I never once wanted to go to WWE, even though I was a big fan and still sort of am. I know in here, never going to happen. I wouldn't even apply because I'm not stupid. I'm not going to make myself look like a twat in front of guys that I worship. I'm not going to go to a trial. I'm not going to even try and get on a trial because I am nowhere. I'm like a million miles away from what they want. And I just wouldn't embarrass myself, you know. What I always wanted was to be a promoter. And I always wanted to be a wrestler, and if I can combine the two, gravy, innit? So, you know, that was my dream. I wanted to make something out of wrestling. And so far, if you think about it, I've got my own company, you know, successful company, I wholesomely believe. I've been on TV. I mean, how many of these guys can say that they were on a primetime Saturday night live TV show? I was. All right, it didn't amount to anything. So what? Still did it. You know, and you know, and I was in that show like multiple times. It wasn't just a 2-second, you know, or a second glance in the background. I was part of that show, you know. You know, I've been asked to do like documentaries on TV. I've done, you know, obviously because of the wrestling thing, that's kind of why they did the whole BBC documentary. But, you know, on the flip side of that, I'm now helping people. I've got, you know, quite a few people that are men and women that are now close friends of mine that I'm now helping because of what I've done with that BBC thing. And do you have any idea how hard that fucking was? To honestly, on camera. Now, a lot of my family didn't know about what happened, like when I was a kid. Do you know how hard that was to actually do something like that and incorporate the wrestling to get it noticed? And that's the only reason we did that, because I do believe if you don't have something to go along with it, because you're a male, it's less heard of, which it is, unfortunately. So we incorporated the two to get the fans interested, because they might have thought it was a wrestling thing. But I was so scared that these namesayers that slag us off on probably a weekly fucking basis were going to then do that about that. And that's what I was really scared about. And it affected me for weeks. The fact that it didn't, or I didn't hear about it, then happy days. But I'm now being like a somewhat, I don't want to say ambassador, but somewhat of a sort of mentor to these guys and girls that are messaging me, asking me to help them, that have been through worse situations than I did. You know, and I am quite actively. And so I'm doing all this work, and I'm not saying I'm a saint. I mean, fucking hell. You know, I'm not great. I'm not great. I'm not the perfect husband. I'm not the perfect dad. You know, I have fucked up. I've made massive mistakes at home. The one thing that I will always say, that my kids will always say, and my stepchildren as well, is that he might not have been the perfect dad. He might have not been, you know, the perfect man. But the one thing that they can always say about me is that, by God, did he work his bollocks off to make sure that we had what we have got. And the fact that you're doing all that, and you're still finding some time to put these charity shows on, so that, you know, the fans can. That's the only reason why I'm doing them now, is two reasons: one, for the charities, and two, because the fans keep asking for them. So if we were shit, why the fuck am I getting all the? I know I'm going on a bit, but why would I be getting all these fans and families saying to me, like, weekly? I even had one message me today: when's the next CWP show? We're missing it. Okay. I've always said, even in promos and in the ring and interviews, and I think I've said it with you, I'll stop doing CWP the minute we get no fans. Obviously, if no one turns up, we'll stop. Right? But until that day, if the fans keep coming and they keep paying to watch our product, I will keep going. All right. So if, you know, if the namesayers and the dickheads out there that hate me for some bizarre reason, don't like me, think I can't wrestle, think CWP is a pile of shit, that's all I can do, because we're trying our best, you know, and that's all we can do. And again, if you don't like it, don't fucking watch it, or don't go to it, or don't look at it. You know,
I say that about my podcast all the time. If someone offends you, you are welcome to come on and debate.
Your podcast is actually brilliant.
Or don't fucking listen to it. I'm not ashamed of the fact that this is the most honest and candid wrestling podcast in the world. Show me one that is more honest. I don't believe there is. There are probably ones that are better, but I'll tell you what, I'd like to see anyone do what I've done and amass over 500 episodes with a 400-pound laptop and a shit ton of fucking effort and nothing else behind them. I don't have any friends or money or gusto or contacts or anything like that. That's just sheer graft. That's all that is. Which is why I like CWP, because it's been born out of someone's passion, not their wallet. So, you know, it is what it is. Before we close things up, mate, and obviously we'll have you back on, especially when November draws nearer, because obviously you want to make sure that you have ample time to promote the show, the matches. So once the card's all set and good to go, we'll get you back on and we'll have a proper good preview. Maybe have a few extras in, get Roderick, a few other guys to come in and promote the show, obviously. Word association. I know you're a big fan of this. So I have a list of wrestlers. Most of them I've written down myself, but I always ask people associated with the podcast. We have a group chat as well. To send me a few names and I shall read them out to you. Obviously, ideally, one word to describe each person. But if you want to add a bit of context like Eddie did, I'm sure you saw that one because, you know, I'm sure a few people watched it.
This will be interesting.
So, you know. Right. And seeing as we've mentioned him, we'll start with him. Eddie Kenway.
Awesome.
There you go. Nice and succinct.
Awesome. I've got a lot of time for that guy.
Yeah. Sky Smithson.
Underrated, unbelievable talent. Should be used a hell of a lot more. Really nice in and out of the ring. And the level of talent that girl possesses, no one else like it.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, just honestly, I have such a lot of time for Sky. I think she's absolutely amazing. She's, in terms of the way she presents herself and her character, she is basically at the level that I would always aspire to be. Don't think I'll ever reach that level, but that's definitely the kind of level I aspire to be. Dan Barnsdale.
Hell of a guy. Out of the ring, I got a lot of respect for him. In and out of the ring. Out of the ring, he's lovely. He's done a lot that people like. They say good and bad things about him. Same as me.
I love it. I mean, great.
But do you know what? That guy has done more for us behind the scenes that people actually know. I will give that guy all the time in the world. I think he's brilliant. I do take the piss out of him sometimes because in the ring, he's probably one of the... I've not seen anyone like him. He is the best mic worker I think I've ever seen. As a manager, as an MC, he is... And that's probably going to piss like a lot of people off that do it full time. But for me, Dan is unbelievable on the mic. The only thing I take the piss out of him for sometimes is when he's a manager. Obviously, he was a manager for us. His promo work kind of goes on a little bit too much. He kind of really gets into his character.
He does love to talk. So
yeah,
I'm in the podcast game. I ain't critiquing that.
Sometimes that's not always a bad thing, you know. If you've got a group of guys like the Takeover, for instance, you've got a group of guys that really probably in hindsight shouldn't do a lot of talking because they're also bloody big, you know, and less is more. But you have to have that mouthpiece, and that's what Dan was. He was their central mouthpiece, like Bobby the Brain Heenan. Andre the Giant very rarely spoke, and when he did, you couldn't really understand the ball bugger. You know, bless him, but. Bobby Heenan was the mouthpiece for all of his guys. You know, Harvey Whippleman as well. He was the mouthpiece for all of his guys. Dan's in the same category in my eyes. He is a superb mouthpiece. And yeah, nice guy.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's fair enough. Rishi Ghosh.
Oh, man. Love him. Absolute legend. That guy should be... He's already in a really good place. Like, he's in a phenomenal place. But that guy should be way above and beyond. You know, he should have been with WWE, in my opinion, years ago. In my opinion, he should be with someone like AEW now. You know, despite what I think about AEW now, that they are the second, you know, I suppose they're the second well-known company. Rishi should be with a company that's, you know, internationally known. The guy, you know, he's a legend in his own right. He's phenomenal. Like, I don't think gimmick-wise I've seen anything better. I love working with the guy. I love going to his training school. His training school, I will say, if you haven't been to it, get off your ass and go to it. Anyone who wants to be a wrestler who lives in sort of Hampshire or Portsmouth area, fucking go to Rishi's QWA. It is phenomenal. He's got a really nice unit. I've been there even at 38. I've been there and been trained by him. He does one-on-one training. You know, he does group sessions. QWA will always have a place with CWP. They've done a lot of work with us. We've had them for training seminars. We've had a lot of their guys doing you were there actually. Your debut show was a I know you wasn't in it, but you were on the same card. QWA Academy Showcase match. Do you know that? And I've said it to him. That showcase match, even though that they were all trainees, still to this day is the most highly ranked match that we've had on all of our shows.
Yeah, all 6 guys are quality. Like, you know, pun intended, all 6 guys are. I know all 6 of those guys very well. One of them is my best friend Aaron, who I train with a lot, and yeah, just a different cut of wrestler. And the fact that they're trained at quality, or, you know, use quality as a training place, because, you know, some of the guys that are in there have been there well before quality. They're good at what they do. And one thing I really like about quality as well is the fact that if you are a bit different or a bit quirky, you can go there and there isn't too much slight thrown at you. It's not for everyone, you know, just like any training school. You got to find someone that's comfortable for you, and creatively they may not align with what you necessarily agree with. But if you want to learn to be a good wrestler and you want to do it safely and be well respected as well and looked after, that's the best training school I've seen so far. So, you know, it depends on what you want to do and what you want to be. You know, different horses for different courses. Ian Logan.
Always will have a place with CWP. Brilliant guy. Brilliant talent. And hopefully he will be back with us very shortly. Obviously, there was no issues of why he stopped working on our shows. It was personally a personal issue. He just couldn't get Sundays free, and all my shows are on a Sunday. You know, that's not his fault. But he is a phenomenal talent, and he's a safe talent. Like, I think one of my all-time favourite matches within CWP as a singles was against Ian Logan. The guy is just superb.
Yeah, I probably have more time for Ian than I do most people, actually. To be honest, when I was training at Quality and other places, I got the impression that he was a lot more infused and excited about the idea of me being a success than other people were. Like, that's how, you know, strongly I feel about Ian Logan. I think he's one of the best. And he's also a good big man as well. People forget he's quite a big lad. He's 6'3", 6'4". You know, he's a big, tall unit of a lad, but he can really work. And he has done for a long time. If you put his name in YouTube, you'll find some amazing work. And obviously you'll be seeing some highlights, hopefully, while I'm speaking. Interesting. Look at you.
I actually think he is a superb talent. We had him on. We've had him actually on.
Didn't you? Didn't he represent?
Yeah. We've had him on quite a few shows.
Yeah, he was also now, to be fair, like, you know, it's a bit of a kayfabe buster, so I apologise, but he also works as a different wrestler. I won't entirely destroy his kayfabe.
You're trying to avoid that.
But you know, he can sometimes be seen as a different wrestler, but you have to work that out for yourself. That's going to be really hard to do, to be fair. But he's somebody who can do a lot of different. I personally believe him to be arguably the best all-round wrestler that I've shared a ring with or been in a ring with for training. Haven't had the pleasure of a match. Don't think I'd ever be good enough to wrestle him, but at the same time, I cannot think of anyone that I've met who has done it for as long as he has as well, who has the quality, the class, and just the decency that he does. He truly is one of the coolest gentlemen in wrestling. I wish more people were like him and had his mentality, because I wouldn't have such a sour opinion of a lot of the business as I do if it wasn't for guys like him.
And I think a lot of it boils down to, you know, obviously he works a lot for Kapow. That's probably his main promotion, where he made the Pikachu gimmick. And a lot of people, you know, now the funny thing is Kapow probably get not the same, but they have had a lot of people slate it. Like I've had a lot of people saying it to me. Now, the funny thing about that is that it works for them. Now, the whole comic book style, comic book hero immortation, if that's what you want to call it, I don't know. Is it my cup of tea? At the beginning, I didn't, because I kind of thought it was a bit. I've never been into comic book stuff, so it wouldn't be my cup of tea because it's mainly comic book immortations. And if you don't like comic book stuff, then you're not going to like it, are you? But now I actually find them quite entertaining. And I find them quite, there is a lot of comedy things in there as well. And if you think about it, they're actually, they're like us in a way, they are giving you cabaret style shows. They're giving you a quirky gimmick. They're giving you an entertaining show. That's what we do.
What you're getting as well with Kapow. Like, you got to remember as well, Kapow doesn't try and pretend that it's, we're not fucking super serious NJPW. They are very much of the, like, look at it. It's comic book wrestling. We entertain. We have superheroes. And actually, they're well ahead of the curve because they were going well before Marvel properly blew up or became a part of Disney and things like that. And now, what's the hottest thing going? It's not personally my cup of tea. I mean, I'm more of a DC lad because I'm a miserable bastard. But, ultimately, they do superheroes. They do villains. And if you're a kid, what do you want to do? You want to root for a superhero. You want to boo a villain. They do wrestling. Wrestling has always been in
I think a lot of it with Kapow is like a lot of people on social media will slate them because they go, oh, it's so corny and so nerdy. Because I remember one match in particular that I just heard about it, that somebody was just really going to town on them. I don't know if they was aware of it, but they were saying about it was a Toy Story match. I don't know. There was like Toy Story characters in the ring. But the thing that I actually watched it because I was so intrigued. And they were working as Buzz and Woody and, whatever. And, what kid's not going to like that? A kid's going to love that. But the funny thing, and here's what made me piss myself laughing, but not at them. It was with them. There's two different things. Was every time somebody came towards the ring that was allegedly Andy, these wrestlers would just pass out. No matter where they were, whether they were in the ring or out the ring, they would drop to their backs and be as stiff as a board until he buggered off. People might say that's the most geekiest thing I've ever seen. Who gives a shit? The amount of those kids that night buzzing off of that, and it was the funniest thing I've ever seen. It was brilliant. And it's different. So all credit to them.
Yeah, no, I'm of the opinion I don't mind as long as you're not trying. If you're presenting yourself as that, good for you, because that's what you've told people going. If I turn up and you're like, yeah, we're very serious and we have proper technical wrestlers, and then you give me that, I'm going to be like, But they're not selling you something that they're not. They're selling you exactly what they do well. And actually, they have Carl Atlas on their shows, who, for my money, is arguably one of the best wrestlers that I'll ever see, and probably one of the most, along with Sky Smith, he's like the male Sky Smithson for me in the sense of I have no idea why he doesn't get used everywhere, but because he's genuinely.
Well, there's a name drop that you just done that I know for a fact doesn't like me at the moment.
Who, Carl Atlas? Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
But I love Carl. I was people don't realise I went to college with Carl, so I've known Carl a long time.
I personally, I think he's brilliant. I honestly do. I've tried. I'm hoping at some point in time he can get over it and come and work and do shows for CWP, because I love the tag team that he's got. The Beards, I think, is brilliant, and it would fit really well with what we do. We already use Sam anyway, so. But just quickly, it was something really stupid. I saw a match of theirs on YouTube. I think it was an SWS show or something, and they were doing a ladder match with Carl and. I can't remember the opponent because it was that long ago. And I put a stupid comment on there. Again, no filter. The ref kept getting in the fucking way. I don't think he realised where the camera was. So every time there was a really good move done, you kept just seeing the ref's arse. Now, for me, personally, as a fan, I want to see them fucking work. I want to see them wrestle. I don't want to see the ref getting in the fucking way all the time. And we've had it on our...
Get out of the fucking
camera. Exactly. The camera footage on my last event, I've said myself, me personally, it was bollocks. It was fucking horrible. They were in the wrong position and people kept getting in the way. I said that, and it's something that's been, sorted out, and it will never happen again. But then I just mentioned as a joke the ladder looked a little bit flimsy to me. It was a wooden one, but that's what was taken offence to. Okay, I get it. I'll say right now, like, if Carl ever does watch this, I don't know if he does, but he probably might see this and go, no, it's that twat, I'm not going to watch it. But Carl, I'm sorry. It was a stupid comment. Didn't mean it. I even did say to you at the time, didn't mean it. It was dumb. I wasn't doing it derogatory towards you or your opponent, because the fucking match, mate, oh my God. The athleticism that was in that bout was wow. But me, I'm a piss taker, you know. I have a strange sense of humour, can't help it, and I put my foot in it a lot, and that's just what I did. So, Carl, again, apologies. Maybe if you can get over it, you can give us a message, and then we can try and, you know, sort something out where we use you guys on our shows as well.
Yeah,
right, next one.
Next one, Chris K.
Classic. See what I did there?
Throwback, isn't he? Right. He's old school in the
Chris K's old school, you know. He's like myself in a way with the old school.
Not an arsehole, I love that.
No.
There's a lot of guys in his position.
He's old school without that.
And he doesn't. He's really cool.
But he's again another underrated talent. I know he's in a great place right now because he's probably one of the best promoters in Southampton and Hampshire, and that's coming from a promoter. But I personally think he should be a lot further on, because people don't realise with Chris that he is actually he was from the World of Sport era, you know. And if you've been doing it that long, in my opinion, yeah, you should get accolade and travel all over the world. And I know he has done, but, you know, he's so underrated. It's unbelievable. The talent-wise, he's phenomenal. Very snug.
Do you know what? I obviously I only got a brief opportunity to work with him, but the fact that he was willing to work with someone like me was really humbling, because I remember watching Chris when I was a kid and thinking how great he was. I was very lucky, you know, because I'm an older guy as well. I used to watch FWA and stuff like that. You know, I used to watch Chris a lot, especially in gospel, because obviously he's like, you know, he's king of gospel. And yeah, no, I cannot get over how cool it is to be able. If I don't do anything else, I can always say I've got to work with Chris K. That's fucking sick. Like, that's so cool to me, because that's a Hall of Fame, and that's a British Hall of Fame.
And it was on CWP as well.
Exactly. There you go. See, so when people say CWP don't give you opportunities, fuck off. I got to work with Rishi Ghosh, Sir Selfie, Takeshi, you know, and I've also got to share a ring with some amazing guys like Damien and friends of mine like Aaron Cruz and that. You will get opportunities, absolutely. So bollocks. I'm going to champion it. Bollocks. I'm sorry, but exactly. You get nothing but honesty from me. If someone tells you that you won't get respected or get opportunities at CWP, then they're flat out lying to you and they're full of shit. Right, a couple more left here. This has obviously been thrown in to try and wind people up, but fuck it, we do ask anyway. Andy Kilden.
Who?
Fair. Next. We'll leave it at that. That seems like a good choice. That's probably the smartest route a promoter could take at that point. Aaron Cruz.
Seems like a nice lad. I can't really. Obviously, we've only used him sort of like a one show. Very respectful. I was very, very impressed with his talents. If he carries on the path that he's on, I can see him quite visually working all over the world. I think someone like Aaron would do very, very well in Japan, because I think he's got that look. I think he's got that style. He's far more advanced than he should be for the age. Makes me jealous, actually.
Yeah. Makes me sick to my stomach.
Yeah, all in all, he really impressed me with how respectful he is at such a young age. So, yeah, all credit to him. And obviously, along the way, he's going to be one of the guys that we bring back when we hopefully restart again. And good things could be in the future.
Yeah, I set a little bucket list out of things I wanted to do in wrestling before I called it a day, and the most important thing to me actually is to have a match with Aaron, because we train all the time together. We have such a great chemistry, and obviously people are going to say, well, he's your best friend, so you're going to put him over, but he is my little brother, and I honestly have not met a nicer human being on earth. Like, he's like me and you. Like, he has to battle so much anxiety and things like that, and he does it without batting an eyelid. And I've never heard him say a bad thing about anybody. He's genuinely the personification of class. And bearing in mind he's only 18 as well, that's quite sickening that he's that talented and that nice. But yeah, no, if anything, I'd have to critique him for being too nice. That's probably the only thing. You know, there aren't too many.
Let's move on before us all start crying into our cocoa or something.
Yeah, pretty much. Ebenezer the Geezer.
Well, a geezer.
He is the geezer.
He's another underrated talent that should be further than he is. Another guy that I hold quite closely to me. I've probably never said it to him, but I actually think a lot of him. And I told him the other day, there's always a place at our doors for him. Whatever he wants, if he wants to manage, wrestle, whatever, he can come up. He has actually come up with an idea that we will reveal at some point. Great guy, great talent, and hopefully, there'll be big things in the future for him because he is an incredibly nice guy.
Yeah, wildly charismatic. So I'm jealous of his personality. I wish I had that kind of confidence. I really do. And finally, because we need to wrap up at some point, obviously, Robbie Nitro.
Who's that twat?
I ask that same question every week, but he keeps popping up in my DMs for some reason. No, I'm kidding.
Controversial.
Right. I have a word for you, but what do you think?
Go on, then. You give me yours first.
Integrity. I pride myself on the fact that I choose. I'm very picky about who I believe are good and bad people. I am a bit of a miserable pessimist, and I can see faults in people. From the moment I've met you, I've had nothing but integrity and respect shown to me. Integrity is really important to me. I don't believe in the concept of loyalty in wrestling to a certain extent because, like you say, and like I've always said, who's paying to get trained? The independent wrestler pays to be trained. You know, if the company was paying me, if you were saying like, right, I'm going to pay you to be trained, of course I'm going to be loyal to your company, but it is independent wrestling. But as a quick aside, because I don't really like blowing smoke up too many people's asses, because frankly, I hate everybody. I will say this. You have afforded me opportunities to be the person I am, and you've afforded me the chance to achieve a dream that a lot of people would have frankly turned their nose up at. And I have nothing but love and respect for that because ultimately, I don't believe I'm the best at anything that I do other than the podcast. But when it comes to wrestling, I do know that when you book me on your shows, not just you personally, but, hypothetically, you will get not only a wrestler, you will get a podcast, you will get a graphic designer, you will get a videographer, you will get a lot of different talents. I also believe that I could truly, given the opportunity, be one of the best commentators as well, because I believe in my voice and I believe I can talk like nobody else in this business. And I'm eloquent too. I don't make too many mistakes and I respect and love this business. And from the get-go, since the moment I've had the opportunity to chat to you, since I covered that show way back when, I have been treated with nothing but respect. So maybe respect would be the best word.
No, and to be fair, I'm quite humble with your words, to be honest, because it's people that do, again, like stupid little comments, like you shouldn't take it to heart, but it's hard when I even like Eddie Kenway's last podcast with you, and I put a comment out there saying, wow, finally someone says something nice about me. But that was just a joke, kind of like a little dig to all the ones that slags off. And a certain somebody said something along the lines as he's probably never met a decent wrestler before or some shit like that. And all right, I laughed it off, but I can't help sometimes when it's constant. And up here, it kind of does affect me slightly. To the point where I'm like, oh man, all these pathetic fucking comments. It's like, what's the point in even carrying on? What's the point in even carrying on in a fucking industry where you're nothing but just bitched about or slagged off? Or, I've been asked by family members, like, my wife even said to me, is it all worth it? is the shows worth the amount of shit that you have to go through? And my one answer is yes, because the shit's not worth it, and the namesayers aren't worth it, but the shows are, and I'm not going to give up on my dream just yet. So words to sum me up is misunderstood, respectful, loyal family man, and basically somebody that just wants to be known for doing something good when it's time to pop my claws. I just want to be remembered. It's not an ego thing. I just want I want a legacy. Yeah, I kind of want a legacy left behind for my kids to grow up and go, that was my dad. You know, my dad was the owner of quite a fun, you know, wrestling company, and this is how much he made for charity over the years. You know, that's me. That's all I want. You know, I don't want anything more, anything less. But just for people just to, you know, see it for what it is. I don't care about me. If you want to slag me off, then I know we're going off track a little bit, but if people want to slag me off, fine, go ahead. You know, fuck it. You know, whatever. I'm kind of used to it now anyway. But don't slag off the company, because at the end of the day, it's not a company in my eyes. It's something doing something good for others. You know, our motto is, you know, yeah, I mean, our motto is help us to help others. That's who we are. You know, you say what you like about me, but don't slag off CWP, because it's doing good in the world, and it's helping people. So you don't like it, don't look at it.
Yeah, no, my final say on CWP as a whole is I think it's the little things that I really loved. Like from the moment that I have stepped foot near CWP, for instance, you've always had separate locker rooms, and when speaking out here and everything, there was people were saying it's amazing that all these companies don't have separate locker rooms. Women have always been treated with great respect. I've never seen any even remotely crass behavior at CWP, and I am a stickler, and I will fucking tell you if you're doing something stupid. And I have never once
realised we had a safeguard in play before it was even known about, like before all that speaking.
Now it's cool to have one, and it shouldn't be fucking cool. It should be fucking mandatory that your employees and your individuals are safeguarded correctly, you know, and that's something I've always had a lot of respect for.
Females to get checked. I mean, don't get me wrong, the females come in to the men's locker room once they're sorted, but that's their own choosing, you know. That some of them have said to me in the past, oh, I don't give a shit, I'll get changed in here, I don't care. That's on them, that's not on anyone else. But I still say to them, I would rather, yeah, I mean, I still say to them, I would rather you use the correct locker room, do you know what I mean, just to keep everything safe. And even with the fans as well, I just going on about that speaking out thing, I looked into that with a fine tooth comb. I was keeping up to date with it, and even if it's not true or if it was true, anyone that, and to be fair, CWP were quite lucky, because a lot of pretty much all of our local talent were never on it. Excuse me. Some of the international people that we have used before were slightly used on it or mentioned on it. And, you know, unfortunately, we've parted ways with those people, because I won't risk the respect that my company has built up on whether that story was true or not true. Because mud sticks at the end of the day. Whether that sounds horrible or not, I'm kind of running, you know, even though I'm not running a business, it's still looked at like that. So I have to look at it from that aspect. But we were lucky, and I can honestly say all of the main guys that we use, you could, you know, there's no worries about safeguarding with fans, with other talent. Every single one of them I would trust with my life. Hence why we use them. And this is why CWP is a family-run orientated company.
Perfect way to end it, to be honest, mate. Before we do end things, obviously, where can people find CWP and also Robbie Nitro? Social media, how can we contact you guys? Don't forget as well, obviously, all those will be in the description, so don't panic if you do miss them.
Yeah, my ones is, I think it's at Robbie Nitro on Twitter, Robbie Nitro Professional Wrestler on Facebook, and the same on Instagram. And the CWP one, it's charity_wrestling_promotion_ on social Facebook, and I think it's at charity wrestling on Twitter. And the charity wrestling promotion for Instagram. But we've got a like page, CWP, and then we've got a group page, which is the charity wrestling promotion.
Yeah, simple as that, ladies and gentlemen. I honestly, if you don't already know about them, because the majority of the Southampton audience are fucking great and already do, but if you don't already know, check it out. And like you say, I'm very proud of the fact that some wrestlers are now noticing CWP and actually approaching them, and whether that be because of certain podcasts or just simply because they've realized it's a good fucking place to work. Don't turn your nose up at places just because somebody said something about them. Go and find out for yourself. That's the easiest way you can do it, is just to go and learn for yourself. Robbie Nitro, thank you for coming back again, mate. Part 3 no doubt will happen later this year, I'm sure, and you'll be the first person to come on for a third time.
It's been a pleasure.
Stop clogging up our bloody airwaves. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, absolute pleasure, mate. Thank you very much.